We are at Svalbard. It's about as far north as you can go in Europe. And a few miles over there is where the robots that are destined for Mars come to be tested. Engineers have developed the ability to create and launch into space a light that can flash 4 times brighter than our sun, and that could be used to scream, "Hello, we're here," to the rest of the universe. But should we do it? Let's talk about that. SETI is the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, and active SETI is the idea that we should be sending messages to alien races and not just waiting for them to contact us. Now, the first thing a social scientist would say is, why would we expect to receive messages if we are not prepared to send messages? A SETI scientist might respond and say, actually, we have been sending messages for many decades, so a lot of our television signals and a lot of our radio signals have been leaking out into space. Now, some physicists have suggested that we should exercise caution. Stephen Hawking has recommended that not only do we not try and send messages to contact alien races, but we should try and limit the television signals and radio signals that are leaking into outer space. What he says is, if aliens visit us, the outcome would be much as when Columbus landed in America, which didn't turn out well for the Native Americans. Now, that's not actually a great example. And the reason is because while aliens will be subject to the same laws of physics as us, and I'm sure Stephen Hawking has thought that through carefully, they will also be subject to some of the same laws of social science as us. And yes, I did say that. Specifically, economics, specifically a principle that can be communicated simply as, you can't have your cake and eat it. But we will come back to that. First of all, let's speculate about why aliens might want to come to us. And the first reason might be curiosity. They might be curious about us. Should we be worried about that? Well, it is true that when scientists study some subjects, they do, through their study, destroy those subjects. And an example would be a virus. Now, if aliens are coming here expecting to interact with intelligent life, that might not be a relevant example, but we need to be aware of that. The second reason might be just pure aggression. They might want to come to start a fight. And it is true from our experiences of life on planet Earth that intelligence and aggression do co-evolve. And that is presumably what Stephen Hawking is actually worried about, an aggressive alien. Another example that comes up frequently in science fiction is that aliens might want to come here for our resources. Now, this is where the laws of economics apply, because we know from our experience that it is enormously expensive even to just get materials from the surface of the planet into a low Earth orbit. So at the minute, NASA are developing a space launch system that could be used to launch over 100 metric tons of gear that might keep a handful of astronauts alive for a few years. So we are not talking about shifting an army across galaxies, and that will cost at least $9 billion. Now, even if aliens have figured out a cheaper way to do this, it will still involve an alien race deciding that they want to focus resources on coming to us and then to do something else. And of course, that is the problem with Stephen Hawking's example about Columbus. So we Europeans were going to America to search for land. We were looking for resources. By definition, the people that went didn't have land here. So aliens, if they want to come here for resources, by definition, will have dwindling resources on their planet. So what might they want to come here for? We've got lots of water, but there's apparently lots of water in other places of the galaxy. You don't need to come here for water, and therefore you don't need to come here for oxygen either, because you can get oxygen from water. So it would seem that while we do want to be cautious, Stephen Hawking's fears would not keep somebody awake at night. Let's put it that way. Now, getting back to this light, I'm going to give you one reason why we should not do it and one reason why we should do it. And the reason why we should not do it is because it would be visible to any alien race that has eyes the same as us or similar to ours at any stage of their development. So if we turn it around and suggest that a light comes to us from an alien race, at any point through our history we would have been able to pick up that signal. And there have been, all the way throughout our history, people who have looked to the stars and somebody somewhere would see that and ascribe supernatural reasoning to it. So at any point through our history, up to and including today and for the foreseeable future, there are people who would immediately think that the signal was coming from some sort of God. And we need to recognise that if we send a signal to an alien race, the same thing could be true, and it could cause trouble. Now that's not a reason not to do it, but it's something that we need to be conscious of if we go ahead with this. Now, what about the reason for doing it? Well, there is one brilliant reason for doing it, and that is because we know it would be picked up by an intelligent species. It would be picked up by us. So if every human on the planet could see that flashing light at some point during the day, during the month, or during the year, it would be a shining beacon of what humanity can accomplish. So less than 250 years ago, no human had ever left the planet. And then in 1783, someone got in a hot air balloon and had their first view of the Earth from high up. And in that time we have achieved spaceflight, and we have achieved the ability to live in space for a short time. So even a skeptic who doesn't believe aliens exist would still be able to see this light and see what humanity has been able to achieve and may well be inspired by it. And we know that people are inspired by the space program. NASA are very big on outreach. NASA are very concerned about their public perception and getting people interested in science and interested in space. And that flashing light would do just that. Bye-bye.